You think you know your neighbors until you come home one day and realize the house isn't yours anymore. I left the office early that Thursday, carrying news of my promotion like a trophy I couldn't wait to share, only to pull into my driveway and see yellow violation notices plastered across my front door like cheap wallpaper. My perfectly trimmed desert landscaping, every pebble and cactus exactly to code, had been cordoned off with caution tape. 3 cardboard boxes sat on the curb, my favorite cashmere throw spilling out like it had given up. Through the open garage door, I saw my best friend Lisa directing 2 guys in company polos while Brenda Whitaker, our HOA president, stood in my living room with a clipboard and that fake smile she saved for community meetings. My name is Rachel Morgan, 34, and Harmony Hills, HOA, in suburban Arizona had been my sanctuary for 6 years. I'd moved here after my divorce, fresh off a big agency win in Phoenix, looking for quiet streets, reliable neighbors, and the kind of stability that let me focus on climbing the ladder at Desert Peak Marketing. My corner office overlooked the Superstition Mountains on clear days, and the promotion to creative director meant a fat raise and the freedom to finally breathe. The house itself was my pride, warm stucco, solar panels hidden just right, a backyard oasis with a pool that sparkled under the relentless sun. I'd spent weekends planting native succulents and painting the trim the exact approved shade of Sahara sand. Brenda had personally signed off on every change back then, calling me such a model homeowner. Brenda Whitaker was the queen of Harmony Hills. 52, always in pastel cardigans and pearls. She'd greet everyone at the annual block party with homemade lemonade and lectures about preserving property values. On the surface, she was all Southern charm and civic duty. Behind the scenes, she ruled with an iron fist wrapped in HOA bylaws. Grass could be no taller than 2.5 inches. Holiday lights had to come down the day after New Year's. No political flags unless they were tasteful. I'd laughed at the rules when I first moved in. How bad could it be? Lisa Carter lived 2 doors down and had become my ride or die almost immediately. We'd bonded over bad first dates and worse coffee, shared keys for emergencies, and she'd even helped me pick out my drought-tolerant plants when the HOA threatened a fine for non-compliant vegetation. She sat on the board as secretary, always texting me the inside scoop. "Brenda's just being Brenda," she'd say with an eye roll. Ignore her. I trusted her completely. Work had been brutal lately. Desert Peak had landed a massive national campaign for a green energy brand, and I'd been flying between Phoenix and Austin, living on airport sushi and conference calls. Brenda had sent 3 violation notices while I was gone, something about my solar panels being visible from the street even though they were on the back roof. Another about my mailbox flag being the wrong shade of red. I'd paid the fines online without a second thought. The amounts were small, annoying but manageable. Lisa had texted me laughing. She's on a power trip again. Don't sweat it. I'd even sent her flowers as thanks for watching my back. The Thursday, everything exploded had started perfectly. The Austin clients loved the pitch so much they signed on the spot and insisted on an early celebration lunch. My boss practically shoved me out the door. "Take the rest of the day." "Rachel, hell, take tomorrow. We'll announce your promotion Monday." I floated to my car, bought a bottle of the good Pinot and those salted caramel brownies Brenda always raved about at the community potluck, ironic peace offering. I thought. The sun was blazing Arizona gold, the kind of day that made the desert feel like paradise. I pictured Lisa and me cracking the wine on my patio later, toasting my new title while Brenda grumbled about keeping up appearances. If only I called first. The first wrong thing hit when I turned onto my street and saw the yellow notices flapping like surrender flags. Then the boxes. Then the moving truck in my driveway. I sat in my car for a full 30 seconds, engine idling, trying to convince myself it was a mistake. Maintenance day? No, my key still worked in the side door. But when I pushed it open, the scene inside felt like walking into someone else's life. Lisa was directing the movers to shift my couch. Brenda stood at my kitchen island with official-looking papers. Her voice syrupy sweet. Rachel, dear, you're home early. We were hoping to have this sorted before you returned. What the hell is going on? My voice cracked harder than I wanted. Brenda didn't flinch. She adjusted her pearls and slid a thick folder across the granite I'd paid extra for. The board reviewed your file. 16 violations over the last 4 months. Unauthorized trim color. Visible solar equipment. Grass height during your absences. Even that American flag on the mailbox. You ignored every warning letter. The accumulated fines totaled $12,400. Per bylaws, we placed a lien. Since you're delinquent and the property value is at risk, we voted to initiate foreclosure proceedings. Lisa here kindly offered to facilitate a private sale to keep it in the community. It's all very civilized. Lisa wouldn't meet my eyes at first, then lifted her chin the way she did when she won arguments. Rachel, we tried to warn you. I even texted. You were always so busy with work. The community comes first. I stared at the woman who'd cried on my couch after her divorce, who'd borrowed my laptop when hers crashed, who'd used my spare key just to water the plants, the woman who now held my house keys like they were hers. You helped them do this? Brenda smiled that practiced smile. We're protecting everyone's investment. Dear, rules are rules. You knew the covenants when you bought in. The brownies slipped from my hand and smashed on the tile floor. I'd refinish myself. The movers kept working like this was normal Tuesday business. I felt the blood drain from my face as the pieces clicked. Every helpful visit from Lisa while I was traveling. Every photo she'd snapped for the album. Every time she'd casually asked about my schedule. She'd been feeding Brenda ammunition for months. My promotion. My raise. The future I'd planned, buying out my ex's share, maybe hosting real block parties without clipboard oversight, all evaporating because of 16 made-up infractions and a president who hated anyone who didn't bow. You can't just evict a homeowner, I said, pulling out my phone. I'll call the state regulator right now. Brenda's laugh was light, almost pitying. You could try, but the lien is already filed. Legal. Binding. And with your promotion coming, you wouldn't want messy public drama following you into that new corner office, would you? Small world. Creative industry. People talk. She tapped the folder. We've already transferred your equity portion into an escrow account. After fees. Of course. Lisa's cousin is interested in a quick purchase. Keeps everything friendly. Lisa finally spoke. Voice soft like she was doing me a favor. I'll help you pack the rest. Ratch, we can do this without police. Think of the neighbors. The room spun. This morning, I'd been the woman with the big win. Now I stood in what used to be my living room, while 2 women I trusted carved it up like leftover Thanksgiving turkey. Brenda's pearls gleamed under my recessed lighting, the same lighting she'd once fined Mrs. Alvarez down the street for installing without approval. The hypocrisy tasted like bile. I grabbed what I could, my laptop, grandmother's jewelry box, a single suitcase the movers grudgingly handed over. The rest, they said, would be handled professionally. Brenda offered me a tissue with the same hand that had signed my death warrant. This is for the best. Dear, property values are up 6% this quarter. You'll thank us one day. I walked out without another word. Boxes under one arm. Dignity in shreds. The Uber driver didn't ask why I was crying into a duffel bag that smelled like my own laundry detergent. He just drove me to the only place I could think of, Harper's house 3 streets over. Harper Delgado had never been on the board, never sent a single violation notice. She'd just been a quiet accountant who waved when I jogged past. Tonight, she opened her door, took one look at my face, and pulled me inside without questions. Over cheap wine on her patio, she listened to the whole story. Her expression went from shock to fury. That witch. And Lisa? After everything you did for her, she refilled my glass. You're staying in the guest room. No arguments. Tomorrow we figure out how to fight dirty, legally. Of course. I didn't sleep. I lay there staring at the ceiling fan, replaying every smile, every "I've got your back" text. They'd planned this for months. Waited until my biggest professional win to strike. But something cold settled in my chest. Not just anger, but clarity. I wasn't going to scream or cry in public. I was going to watch, wait, and make sure the rules they loved so much came back to bite them harder than they ever bit me. The next morning, Harper handed me coffee and a legal pad. First, stabilize. Get your stuff back. Document everything. Then we dig. She was right. I spent the weekend quietly photographing the notices, screenshots of every fine email, copies of the lien paperwork Brenda had kindly left in my mailbox. I drove past my house, and saw Lisa's car in the driveway like she already owned the place. Brenda's golf cart, the one she used for neighborhood patrols, sat parked out front with a new president magnet. The whole block looked the same. Perfect lawns, identical mailboxes, zero personality. Except now it felt like a prison I'd helped build. By Monday, I walked into Desert Peak as the new creative director. The announcement email had gone out while my world burned, and the congratulations felt surreal. I smiled, accepted the hugs, and threw myself into the campaign metrics like nothing had happened. At night, in Harper's guest room, I became someone else. A detective, a woman with receipts. It started with the old emails. I'd kept everything, every board notice, every courtesy warning from Brenda. Every time Lisa had forwarded me minutes, just so you know. But the real gold was in the HOA financials. 3 years ago, I'd volunteered to help audit the books when the previous treasurer quit. Brenda had called it such a generous offer. I still had the password to the share drive because no one had bothered to change it. One late night, I logged in from Harper's laptop and started downloading. Holy hell. Brenda had been skimming dues for years. Small at first. $800 here for emergency landscaping. That never happened. $2,300 there for a pool repair at her own house charged to community maintenance. Kickbacks from the lawn service company, her brother-in-law's firm, showed up as inflated invoices. Lisa had signed off on every one as secretary, forging resident approvals. Selective enforcement was blatant. Brenda's own pink flamingos stayed up year-round while she'd find old misses. Alvarez, $500 for a single political yard sign. The solar panel rule? Brenda's cousin got a variance the same week they hit me for visibility. Harper whistled when I showed her the spreadsheets. This isn't just petty. This is felony-level embezzlement. Arizona HOA laws are strict, state regulator. IRS. The whole 9 yards. She grinned, that Louisiana sharp grin. But we don't dump everything at once. We plant seeds. Let them grow nice and slow while they think they won. I spent 2 weeks building the case the way I built million-dollar campaigns. Clean, documented, undeniable. I created anonymous accounts. I reached out to a journalist friend at the Arizona Republic who covered suburban scandals. I have a source. I told her over encrypted chat. Documents proving years of HOA corruption in Harmony Hills. Interested? Her reply was instant. Send it. Meanwhile, the harassment continued. Brenda sent me a certified letter reminding me the house was no longer mine and that any attempt to enter would be trespassing. Lisa texted once. Hope you're doing okay. Ratch. The new paint color looks great. Approved. Of course. I didn't answer. I just kept collecting. I even drove by at night and recorded Brenda's own yard. Grass 3 inches too tall. Holiday lights still up in April. Her unlicensed security camera pointed at neighbors' windows in direct violation of privacy bylaws. The hypocrisy was almost funny if it hadn't cost me everything. 3 weeks after that Thursday, I sat on Harper's patio with a full dossier printed and organized. Every email, every bank transfer, every forged signature. Harper raised her glass to calculated revenge, served ice cold with a side of public humiliation. I clinked it. They thought I was too busy, too nice, too distracted to notice. They were wrong. The first domino fell quietly. I submitted the anonymous package to the Arizona Department of Real Estate, HOA Oversight Division, on a Tuesday. Professional, detailed, with spreadsheets and timestamps. Then the IRS tip line for unreported income. Then the journalist got the flash drive with just enough to start digging without revealing my name. I went back to work like nothing happened. My new campaigns crushed it. Clients raved. The CEO mentioned possible partnership track. Every win was a silent middle finger to the woman who tried to erase me. Brenda and Lisa, meanwhile, were living their best lives in my stolen house. Lisa posted Instagram stories of my new oasis with my pool furniture rearranged exactly how she liked it. Brenda sent a neighborhood newsletter bragging about resolving a delinquent property and boosting values. I screenshotted every post. Let them feel safe. Let them gloat. The higher they climbed on their house of cards, the farther they'd fall. The waiting was the hardest part. April turned to May. I found a new rental, nothing fancy, but mine. No clipboard required. I furnished it slowly, piece by piece, with things that had nothing to do with approved colors. Harper became real family. We laughed about the absurdity late into the night. How Brenda once fined a veteran for flying the American flag too large, while her own Trump banner stayed up through 3 hurricanes. Black humor kept me sane. The kind where you laugh so you don't scream. Then the first crack appeared in their perfect facade. Mid-May, my phone buzzed with a Google alert I'd set for Harmony Hills, HOA, the Arizona Republic article dropped like a bomb. Suburban HOA president accused of embezzling thousands in dues. Documents reveal kickbacks and selective enforcement. Brenda wasn't named in the headline yet, but anyone in the neighborhood could connect the dots. The piece detailed inflated contracts, personal expenses charged to the association, and the sudden foreclosure on a model homeowner's property. Comments exploded. Mrs. Alvarez posted the first "I told you so." Then 3 more longtime residents came forward with their own stories. I watched for my new rental as the community group chat, once a polite place for lost dog posts, turned into a battlefield. Brenda tried damage control. These are baseless accusations from a disgruntled former resident. The board stands united. Lisa liked the post. 20 minutes later, someone replied with a screenshot of Brenda's own violation list from 3 years ago that she'd quietly buried. The likes poured in. Harper burst through my door that evening waving her laptop. Board emergency meeting tonight. They're trying to spin it as fake news. But the state regulator already emailed the entire neighborhood. Full investigation launched. She poured wine. Your seeds are sprouting. Girl, I didn't attend the meeting. I didn't need to. Neighbors who'd never spoken to me before started texting. Former victims thanking me anonymously. One sent a photo of Brenda's face during the Zoom call. Pearls clutched. Smile frozen. Eyes darting like a cornered rat. Lisa tried to defend her. We were just following the rules. The chat roasted her in real time. Rules you helped invent and then broke, someone typed. The laughter emoji flood was glorious. The IRS letter arrived at Brenda's house the next week. Certified mail. Return receipt. I know because Harper's cousin works at the post office and couldn't resist a screenshot. Brenda's pool repair community expense suddenly looked very taxable. Then the Department of Real Estate investigator showed up in a state sedan, clipboard in hand, asking for financial records going back 5 years. Brenda's golf cart was seen speeding around the neighborhood at dawn like she was trying to outrun karma. The black humor peaked when the neighborhood newsletter went out. Brenda's editorial. We remain committed to transparency and fairness. Attached was a photo of her own backyard, grass now magically 2 inches tall after years of being 3.5. Someone photoshopped a clown nose on her face and reposted it. The thread hit 200 comments before the admin shut it down. Lisa cracked first. She showed up at my new rental one evening, eyes red, voice shaking. "Rachel, this has gone too far." The investigator asked about the lien. I didn't know Brenda was skimming that much. I was just trying to help the community. I let her stand on my welcome mat, the one that said "Home Sweet Home," without HOA approval. "You helped steal my house. Lisa, you took pictures of my yard for evidence. You smiled while movers touched my furniture. Don't come here pretending you're the victim now." She left crying. I closed the door and laughed. The kind of laugh that starts in your belly and feels like justice tasting sweet. Harper high-fived me through the window. One down. Queen Karen next. Brenda doubled down. She called an emergency all-hands meeting at the community center, demanding residents stand with the board. Half the neighborhood showed up just to watch the show. I watched the live stream from my couch, popcorn in hand. She stood at the podium in her best pastel suit, pearls gleaming, voice trembling just enough to show. These attacks are personal. I have dedicated my life to Harmony Hills. Someone in the back yelled, "What about the $15,000 you spent on your pool?" The room erupted. Phones came out. Videos went viral in the group chat within minutes. The state investigator sat in the front row taking notes. Brenda's face went from righteous to panicked when he stood up and calmly asked for the original financial ledgers for comparison. She stammered something about digital transition issues. The crowd smelled blood. Old Mrs. Alvarez stood and listed every fine she'd paid while Brenda's violations disappeared. The applause was deafening. By the end of the meeting, Brenda looked smaller, pearls suddenly too tight, smile cracked like cheap stucco. Lisa sat in the back row staring at her shoes. Their alliance, built on my stolen home and years of mutual cover-ups, was visibly crumbling under the weight of their own greed. I went to bed that night feeling lighter than I had in months. The promotion at work was official. My new campaigns were winning awards. I'd even started dating again. Nothing serious. Just coffee with a nice guy from the agency who respected my boundaries and had never once mentioned covenants. My rental was becoming home, filled with colors Brenda would have fined me for. But the best part? My old house still had my solar panels on the roof, now suddenly compliant after the scandal broke. Karma has excellent timing. The Real explosion came in early June. The Arizona Republic ran the follow-up. Harmony Hills HOA president resigns amid embezzlement probe. State launches criminal referral. Brenda's photo was front and center. Smug smile from last year's block party, now captioned under investigation. The article listed specifics. $47,000 in misappropriated funds. Forged approvals. Kickback schemes. Lisa was named as cooperating witness, who had suddenly flipped to save herself. The comment section turned into a roast fest. "Rules for thee, but not for me," one neighbor wrote. Another posted side-by-side photos. My yard before and after the cleanup crew Brenda hired at association expense. I watched Brenda's golf cart disappear from the streets. Her house went up for sale 2 weeks later. Ironic distressed property sign in her own yard. The same movers who'd boxed my life now loaded hers. Lisa moved back in with her sister in Phoenix, posting vague new chapter Instagram stories that nobody liked. The board dissolved overnight. A new election was called, and for the first time in years, residents actually showed up, angry, organized, and done with pastel dictators. Harper and I sat on my new patio the night the news broke. Wine glasses raised. To the woman who fought back without ever raising her voice, she toasted. I clinked. To the rules finally applying to everyone. We laughed until we cried, the satisfying kind of tears that come when the bully finally gets what she deserves. But the universe wasn't finished. The IRS audit hit Brenda's personal accounts next. Turns out those community pool repairs had been declared as business expenses while she claimed zero income from the association. Penalties stacked like the fine she used to hand out. Her husband, quiet guy who'd never spoken at meetings, filed for divorce the same week the story trended locally. "Can't believe I married the HOA president," he told a neighbor loud enough for everyone to hear. Brenda's pearls probably felt heavier than ever. "I got my old house back, not through some grand courtroom scene, but through quiet negotiation once the lien was deemed fraudulent. The state regulator ordered the board, what was left of it, to reverse the foreclosure and refund every illegal fine. My equity was restored, plus interest. I walked through the front door again on a sunny Saturday. The same key still working because they'd never bothered to change the locks. The movers Brenda had hired were now working for me, putting everything back exactly where it belonged. The yellow notices were gone. The caution tape had been replaced by a new American flag, proper size, approved shade, flying proudly because now nobody could stop it. Lisa tried one last text. "I'm so sorry. Rachel, can we talk?" I blocked her number and laughed out loud in my empty living room. The sound echoed off the walls that were finally, truly mine again. Work celebrated my promotion with a company-wide email highlighting the resilience of our new creative director. Clients loved the irony when they heard the story. Turns out nothing sells green energy campaigns like a woman who refused to let a power-hungry Karen dim her own light. I bought a new reading chair, the twin to the one I'd left behind, and placed it exactly where the old one had been. No more accommodating anyone's taste. No more checking the HOA app before planting a flower. The community changed too. The new board passed reforms, simpler rules, transparent finances, actual resident votes. Mrs. Alvarez became treasurer and immediately refunded every bogus fine from the last 5 years. People started flying whatever flags they wanted. Holiday lights stayed up until people felt like taking them down. The neighborhood finally felt like a home instead of a museum run by a tyrant in pearls. Late June, almost 4 months after that Thursday, I stood on my balcony with a glass of the same Pinot I'd bought the day everything fell apart. The desert sunset painted everything gold, the same color Brenda had once approved for my trim. My phone buzzed with a local news notification. Former Harmony Hills HOA president faces felony charges in embezzlement case. Brenda's mugshot was everywhere now. Pearls replaced by an orange jumpsuit. Smug smile gone. Lisa had cut a deal and testified against her. Their perfect alliance had ended exactly the way it began, with betrayal. I deleted the alert and raised my glass to the quiet street below. Couples walked dogs without fear of citations. Kids played without noise violation threats. The American dream, finally free of clipboard oversight. A new text came through, an unknown number. "I know it was you." I stared at it for a second, then blocked the number and smiled. Let Brenda spend the rest of her life wondering. Let her remember every time she called me dear while stealing my future. Let her lie awake, knowing the quiet woman she'd underestimated had quietly dismantled her entire empire with nothing but patience and the truth. Harper and her husband came over for dinner that night. We grilled steaks on the patio, my patio, and laughed about the absurdity of it all. "You turned to Karen into a cautionary tale," Harper said, clinking glasses. "Living well really is the best revenge." I corrected her gently. Strategic justice runs a close second. Later, alone in the house that was finally completely mine, I opened my laptop and typed a quick note to my accountant. The settlement check from the reverse foreclosure had cleared. I instructed him to donate the full amount anonymously to the Arizona Women's Shelter, women starting over after betrayal and loss. Something good had to come from all that pain. My phone rang, my sister in Chicago, screaming congratulations about the new agency partnership I'd just landed thanks to the national campaign. You're killing it. Ratch. I laughed. The first real free laugh in months. Yeah, I am. Tomorrow I'd go furniture shopping again, picking pieces that felt like me. No approvals needed. Sunday I had coffee plans with a guy from work who'd never once mentioned covenants. Monday I'd walk into the office as creative director Rachel Morgan, the woman who'd walked through HOA hell and come out stronger, smarter, and completely unapologetic. I stepped back inside. Footsteps echoing on the floors, I'd refinish myself. The house smelled like my candles, my laundry, my life. No ghosts of Brenda or Lisa lingered. Just possibility. They'd tried to erase me. Instead, they'd freed me. Relationships, whether personal or community, built on deception always collapse. I'd simply been the storm they never saw coming, quiet, deliberate, and devastating. I closed my laptop, turned off the lights, and slept peacefully in a space that was entirely mine. Tomorrow, the future I'd earned would keep building, one rule-free, Karen-free day at a time. Thank you for listening to this wild HOA Karen tale. Drop a comment if you've ever battled ridiculous neighborhood rules or seen a power-tripping president get exactly what she deserved. I read every single one. If this story of betrayal, patience, and sweet justice hit different, hit subscribe and share with anyone stuck under a clipboard tyrant. We're all in this suburban nightmare together until we fight back smarter. See you in the next one.